Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for kicking my cousin off of my sister's wedding Zoom call? AITA for shutting the door in my sister's face after she gave her daughter the same name as my stillborn daughter? AITA for thinking my wife overrated when an elderly lady touched our kid? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for kicking my cousin off of my sister's wedding Zoom call? My 27M older sister, 30F, and her fiancé, 31M, were planning for over a year for their wedding to be this month. Obviously, they can't have the wedding as planned, but they still would like to get married, so they decided on a Zoom wedding where all of the family/friends would just call in to watch the officiant, my sister, and her fiancé. My sister didn't want to be in charge of hosting the Zoom call because she thought it would stress her out, so she asked me to and I gladly accepted. She and her fiancé decided to invite everyone they originally wanted to, and it was a very big list. When we were going over the list, my sister mentioned to me that she wanted everyone else to be muted for the majority of the wedding as she was worried that others would talk over her and her fiancé and quote overshadow them on their big day that was already scaled down. However, her and her fiancé said that I should unmute everyone at one point so everyone could talk and have a nice time with each other. Fast forward to the day of the wedding, everyone is muted during the ceremony, which goes great, and so I then unmute everyone and ask to please raise a hand if they'd like to talk so it doesn't get confusing. My cousin, around my age, starts waving his hand crazily, and he's with his longtime girlfriend, also similar age I guess. He's a very gregarious guy, so I was not surprised. Then, he says stuff like, my sister and her husband are such an inspiration, it's given me the courage to do this. Then turns to his girlfriend and pulls out a box that is the size of an engagement ring box. I immediately saw this as him trying to steal the spotlight, something that he's done since we were kids. He would secretly mess up my sister and I's drawings if the adults would praise ours, and booted him off of the call. Then I quickly announced that my cousin had technical difficulties and would not be joining again. Everyone else accepted this and went about talking, and my sister and her husband did too. The rest of the wedding went smoothly except for the fact that my cousin kept texting me angrily saying that he finally wanted to propose as a surprise with family all around and I ruined it. My aunt and uncle texted me the same. AITA? NTA. Thank God you did that. Your cousin has issues, who would propose at another person's wedding? That's the definition of overshadowing that your sis didn't want. If I were your sister, I wouldn't even know how to thank you. Who would do that? A self-centered asshole, that's who. AITA. Good on you for looking out for your sister. Your cousin is an attention asterisk or that deserve to be kicked out. So inappropriate to take away from your sister's big day, especially since it's already small since a pandemic. Despicable. Your cousin needs to grow up. I would be pissed if my BF proposed to me on a freaking Zoom call. NTA. People who propose, make baby announcements, wear white dresses, or do other things that pull focus from the wedding couple are assholes. The only exception is if the bride and groom are in on it and have explicitly said yes. But yes, hijacking someone's reception is a social felony. NTA. It wasn't his moment. You made a judgment call as moderator. I personally think you made the right one. NTA, I love the swift action to protect your sister's moment. Well played. NTA. He was trying to upstage your sister on her wedding day, and she made it clear she didn't want anyone overshadowing/upstaging her on her special day. AITA for shutting the door in my sister's face after she gave her daughter the same name as my stillborn daughter? 4 years ago I, 30F, lost my daughter Rosie through a stillbirth. It was a huge shock because I went into labor thinking we were going to have a healthy little girl at the end, but she never even took a breath. My husband and I were reeling from the shock. Nobody was sure why it happened either. We'd announced to people that I had gone to give birth, and then we had to notify people that she was gone. I don't remember much from the weeks that followed. I got so depressed I spent some time in the hospital after my husband grew so concerned about me. Last year I gave birth to our son, and his arrival was a real turning point for me. I had done all the therapy and healing I could. But having my son helped in a way nothing else could. My family were always aware of this. Everyone knew Rosie's name. We'd announced her name at my baby shower, and it was engraved on her urn. My sister announced her pregnancy in February, and I was so excited for her. When she said she was having a girl, she seemed to take that I might struggle hearing that. But I was honestly so happy for her. She never mentioned the name. I never asked. I have always believed something like that is up for the parents to reveal in their own time. My niece was born 3 weeks ago. My sister posted the announcement of her arrival with her name, Rosemary Rosie. In her post, she declared that baby Rosie would go by Rosie, but they had given her a substantial name because they cared about their daughter's future and how they did not want to stick her with a juvenile nickname as her given name. I read through the whole post in so much shock that I had to read it 2 more times, and I needed to get my husband to read it to see if he read it the same way I did. The post read as being so condescending toward my husband and I. The way she dissed the name Rosie as a full name while also using it, and never even gave me a heads up about it. The post received so much backlash that my sister took it down. Our brother told her she was a *TCH and to get rid of the post before my husband or I saw it. I did not acknowledge any of it was happening. I did not reach out to my sister and did not reply to texts from her. But I did talk to our brother, and I told him I had seen the post, and so had my husband. That we read it several times between us before it was removed. My sister came by my house on Wednesday. She did not call or text ahead of time. She just showed up and wanted to talk. I told her I had nothing to say to her and shut the door in her face. She rang our doorbell and knocked several times before giving up. She sent me messages afterwards saying I needed to act like an adult and talk to her, and that shutting the door in her face made me a passive-aggressive asshole. AITA? NTA. Her entire post was passive-aggressive about the name you chose first. She could have come to you and said, I want to name my daughter after my niece, in tribute. But that's not what she wanted to do. She wanted to one-up her sister. I really get the vibe that the sister was thinking, oh thank God her baby didn't make it, now I can finally use that name. True. I don't think anyone has rights to any name, but this instance is a clear exception. NTA. Opie's sister is seriously out of line. NTA. You are not an asshole at all. I never understand the stories about this, and usually it is part of a pattern of behavior by the sibling. Take as much time as you need, no pressure to ever interact with your sister again, at least from me. I would need a real heartfelt apology before even considering interacting again. I think that's how I feel too. Even then, I'm not sure that I would be able to resume a good relationship with her. This has hurt me and picked at the scars left behind by the loss of my daughter. NTA. Nobody owns a name, but there are unspoken rules of morality that would exclude using the name of a baby that died tragically. I would be reminded every day of the child that I lost, as I imagine will be your cruel reality. The time for your sister to discuss her name choice was before giving birth. Now, she wants to discuss it, figuring it's better to ask forgiveness than permission? She doesn't get to decide when or if you are able to forgive her. I'm so very sorry for your loss in addition to the predicament you have been placed in. AITA for thinking my wife overrated when an elderly lady touched our kid? Hey Reddit, I need a tiebreaker vote here. Our family and friends are divided here. My wife and I went shopping. I went to a different aisle to get some jerky. I heard my wife scream help. So I ran over, and she was freaking out because an elderly woman hugged our son. You can tell the woman was harmless. The woman's son came along and profusely stating that she had dementia and she meant no harm, that she tends to view every child as her child. I said it was okay, and I myself apologized for my wife's overreaction. During this time I was not paying attention and my wife called 911 and called over security. It became a huge mess for all parties because my wife was not letting the issue go. You could also tell the son was extremely embarrassed, as was I. I was trying to relax my wife, but she was going on a complete meltdown rage, saying that his mother should be in a home if she cannot keep her hands to herself. What if she got our kid sick, tried to kidnap him, got combative and hurt him? All of which I agree are possible outcomes, but I told her none of that happened, so let's just leave it. Security states since the wife called the police, we had to wait for them to show up, so they can file a report as per their store policy. About 25 minutes later police showed up and asked what happened and my wife explained everything. You can tell the police were like, WTF is wrong with this woman? I felt nothing but disappointment. Police took the statement and started laughing as they left. Gave the son of the elderly mom a fist bump and said sorry. My wife was upset I did not have her side. She was upset how I took the side of the son instead of her. I explained his mom was clearly sick, it was a harmless gesture, and explained she was one that acted unreasonably. I did acknowledge her concerns, but nothing bad happened. We could have just let it slide and went on with our day. She told me I failed as a husband. So we ran the story by our family and friends. It is a 50-50th split. So my BIL said this would be a funny story for AITA, he frequents the sub. So Reddit, was I the AITA? Our kid is 19 months old. NTA. Your wife's initial concern was justified, but after the situation was explained and an apology was offered, she should have dropped it. There was no reason to call 911 or even store security. You didn't fail as a husband, you were acting rationally. Yeah, like what was she expecting the police to do? Arrest an elderly woman with dementia for hugging a child? NTA. It was fine for your wife to yell for help and get upset when it first happened. Calling 911 and continuing to make a huge deal of it after the son explained the dementia was out of line and definitely a huge overreaction. Agreed. A little compassion for the son and his mother by Opie's wife would have made all the difference. NTA. NTA. While your wife does have a point, how old your kid is, but that's a little traumatic to have some strange woman come grab you. It's scary for a little kid. The son should be a little more careful with his mom. What if she grabbed a kid with special needs and the kid hurt her or themselves? I do think though he apologized, explained the situation and nothing else bad happened. Calling 911 was too far. I think if your wife felt strongly about reporting it, tell the store manager. That's it. I'm amazed it's a 50-50th split. I think your wife overreacted massively. I would think that your child may have been distressed by your wife's reaction, but not by being hugged by an old lady. NTA. Your wife's initial panic is understandable, but doubling down and calling the police when it was already clear the woman wasn't a threat and the moment was over was extreme and unnecessary. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.